Howdy, y'all. If you're looking for property around Western North Carolina, then I'm about to say something that might not be very popular. Most land is going to be a complete waste of your time. Okay? What I mean by that is finding land is a lot like starting a relationship. It's not okay to think that you can change something fundamental about your partner before you ever commit. Okay? Those movies lied to you. I'm sorry. Land is very much the same way. If it's not going to work right now, it's probably not going to work later. So if you're buying land around or near Asheville, this video is going to teach you how to figure out if that place is actually going to potentially work before you ever drive out there. Now, I'm Justin Godby with Revel Real Estate at Keller Williams Professionals here in Western North Carolina. And I spend a lot of time helping people just like you evaluate land just like this. And here's how I do it. I do 5 checks, okay? And I do them in order. If one of the checks fails, we don't move on to the next one. We just look at different land. So the first one is slope. I'm going to go ahead and open Land ID for this. It's a paid app, but I think it's well worth it because it's very intuitive and everything is at your fingertips. Full disclosure, I don't get paid by these guys, but I think their product is great. Now, let's turn on the topographic layer. Go ahead and find the spot where you think a house would actually go. Look for a place where the topographic lines are pretty far apart and then pick that location. Just for instance, a typical 2-bedroom house is going to be somewhere around 900 to 1,200 square feet. To be safe and, be within the ballpark, let's just make a box that's 35 feet by 35 feet. If you want something larger, of course it goes up from there. Now, use the measurement tool and draw a rough footprint on the map. Look at the contour lines that are crossing it. You need to count them. Each line is usually about 10 feet of elevation change. Obviously, check the specifics on your particular map, but that's pretty common here, and that's what Land ID uses. Now you've got a number. If your footprint crosses, say, 0 to 1 lines, you're about 10 feet of elevation or less as far as a change goes, and that's pretty easy to deal with. If it crosses 1 to 2 lines, you're at 10 to 20 feet of elevation change. It's workable, but now you're designing around it. More than 2 lines is 20 plus feet, and you're going to be into some real site work. You got to ask yourself, are you okay with that potential headache and cost? If not, stop here. Otherwise, we can move on to water. So once it passes the slope test, we zoom out and we look at the whole area. Are there homes nearby? And if there are homes, that's great because that's a pattern you want to see. If you've got houses scattered around, it usually means wells are, working well. Now let's go one step further. Go ahead and call a well driller in the area. All you got to do is say, hey, I'm looking at land off of such and such road in such and such area, and I just want to know, what are the typical depths and yields running for this area? That's it. That's all you need. Most of these people are going to answer and tell you that in a couple of minutes, and they'll be happy to. If they say it's a few hundred feet, that's normal. If they start talking about 600, 800, 1,000 feet, you're in a different category, probably at the top of a mountain. It's going to be more cost and more uncertainty. All you're trying to do is just understand the area and the viability here. If there are no nearby wells and there are no real pattern of homes, then it could be an experiment. You get to decide if you want to do that. The third is septic. Almost none of this land is going to be perked already. So you're not really confirming anything yet. You're just kind of filtering. And you do that with available space. So let's go back to your footprint. Is there actually enough usable space here for a house and a septic system? Septic needs room, okay? A typical drainage field for a 2 to 3 bedroom home, when you factor in setbacks and everything else, and you factor in the trenches and the repair field, you're looking at somewhere between 2,000 and 4,000 square feet of space that you're actually going to need for this septic system to work. That space has to work with the land itself. If the only place that really works for a house is a small, flatter spot, and then everything drops off with a really steep slope, okay, septic can become a big problem, and you may need an engineered solution. You're trying to fit both a house and a septic system onto the same kind of usable area. If there isn't enough room for both, that's where things start to get complicated really fast. If you don't see space for both, you may need to slow your roll. Now let's talk about access. Let's start simple. Is it on a state or a county maintained road? If it is, that's great. That's easy. You're done. You can call the DOT to figure this out. If not, then you're looking for a recorded easement or right-of-way. A lot of properties already have this, and sometimes there's even an existing driveway. That's fine, okay? Just make sure that it's documented. Now, let's look just a little bit closer. Even if access exists, you got to ask, what does it actually take to get from the road to the build site? If you've got a long, steep run before you ever even reach the flatter area, that's more cost, it's more grading, it's more maintenance over time. And do you want to drive up something that's steep during the wintertime? A driveway like that isn't just something you build once and forget, okay? Now let's zoom out and let's look at the whole parcel shape. Are there multiple places you could access it from? Sometimes the obvious access point where there's a driveway coming in is not the best access point. A different approach from another side of the property could be shorter, could be less steep, and much more workable, okay? Now, here's what you're actually verifying. You want to be able to trace access clearly on the map and tie it back to something recorded. And if not, you need a plan to get a right-of-way. If the access depends on something like great-grandpa Bob's neighbor's cousin's old footpath that everybody just kind of agreed was fine, that's not a plan. That's a future problem, y'all. Check the deed. It might mention something. Or you can call the county or the register of deeds and ask if access is recorded for that parcel. If you can't clearly connect the property to documented access, just slow down, okay? The parcel may be landlocked too. And, for a landlocked piece of property, people might say you can get an easement by necessity, which is a cool buzzword. Maybe, okay? But that's not something you assume, and there are no guarantees. What that usually means is you're going to have to go to court. You're going to have to ask a judge to recognize access. It takes time. It costs money. And it, again, is not guaranteed. Until that happens, a neighbor doesn't have to do anything for you, okay? So if access depends on that kind of situation, you're stepping into a project, not just buying land. And I have a good friend who's dealing with this right now. It's not fun. The fifth check or test that we do is looking for power lines. And hey, it's the easiest one. Are they there? Are they along the road? Are they near your build site? If yes, that's amazing. If not, distance equals cost. If $100,000 won't break the bank, then that's great. Otherwise, you're going to want power close to you. If it's not, you got to call the power company and ask them, well, what will it take to run lines out here? That's it, y'all. It's pretty simple. Just draw a footprint, measure the slope, check the area for wells, make sure there's space for septic as well, confirm access is recorded or that it's possible, and check for power. Do it in that order, and if all of those things are good, you may just have a great piece of land that could really serve you, okay? Quick note, always verify things like access, septic, and development potential with the county or the appropriate professionals during your due diligence. Guys, that's key. If you've got a piece of land that you're trying to figure out, send it over or drop it in the comments. I love checking this stuff out. It's part of why I got into this industry. I'm always happy to take a look. And if you want more videos like this on buying land near Asheville or living in Western North Carolina, feel free to go ahead and subscribe. If the land works, everything else gets easier. If it doesn't, you're going to feel that every single day.